Hey guys, welcome to the Game Your Future podcast, where we help gamers realize their full potential. And today, I have a special guest for you. This is Julie-ann Pina, who is a resilience coach, especially for business owners. So, Julie-ann, thank you so much and welcome.
Thanks. It's so great to be here.
Awesome.
I was
So,
really
tell us,
excited when we started.
oh, absolutely. And so, tell us a little bit more. So, a resilience coach for business owners, what all do you do and what does that mean?
Okay. Well, in business resilience, we often think about, the ups and downs of what's going on with the economy or in our industry and being able to recover from the setbacks of life. And, we certainly do that. But the reason I named my company Business Plus Health is that there's also just that personal aspect of taking care of yourself in a way that allows you to have the kind of life as well as business that you want.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So on the I guess the big I guess core deliverable, the core service that you provide is really helping business owners have this sense of resilience so they can weather these storms, if you will, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's integrating instead of it feels like we're always given just this scattering of hacks and one goes here and one goes there and they don't really fit together. But what I'm helping people have is an integrated approach that includes the different areas of life and feeds back in a positive way so that each thing makes the other stronger.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Yeah, because when we talk resilience, I think it's really interesting from like the gaming point of view. Uh, Coming at this like because in gaming we have I'd say it's innate, it's built in, right? This sense of resilience, meaning that when you play a game, your character dies, you hit setback, you lose, whatever, game over, doesn't matter. You just hit continue, try again. Right, that's just inherently built
Right.
in. It's like you're not going to get it on the first try, but the whole point is that you keep trying and you learn how the game works. You build your character up, what have you, and you'll finally beat the level, beat the boss, beat the game. Right, but then when we come outside of the game, suddenly there's this mental block of like, well, I can't do that, and it's like it's so fascinating to me that so many gamers they'll get stuck in life and in business when they do this inherently in games. So, what is it about, I guess, what you teach that you can help, these people that consider themselves stuck and they can't move forward, uh, or just quit before before they get to where they're going, right? So, how do you get that pure perseverance to keep going?
Well, so the question you're asking actually kind of has a couple of parts.
Hmm.
Some of it is just about that mental resilience of expecting that not every day is going to be the best day ever. And a lot of what we do, even inside of a good day, is investing in building towards a better tomorrow. And sometimes that's going to school and whether it's high school or graduate school, it's preparing for the future. And sometimes, you see that endpoint milestone sooner. It could be that, if you spend a week um, getting to bed at a decent hour, by the end of that week, you're going to be feeling pretty great. So you can get a result soon. Um, but it's also just that mental approach that says, this isn't all there is. Today is not, passing judgment on all of me and all of my life's purpose and progress. So just taking that, okay, here's what I'm learning, here's how I'm trying to grow, and I'm heading in that direction. And then I think the other thing is, life is a little more, um, innately it does matter a bit more. So, with a game, no problem. If you die, you just come back again tomorrow. Or, if you absorb a lot of an attack, you might have to like tuck into a sheltered spot and stay out of the enemy's way for a bit until, you heal again and get energy back. Um, and life is actually like that too, but nobody tells us that.
Wow. So,
That's
I love
tomorrow is a new day.
right, and that's what yeah, I'd love to explore that more because that's it. It's so easy in a game that like, oh well, I'll just hide in a corner, let my health recharge, or go find a health pack, whatever it happens to be. So how does that work in life, right? As far as how to this kind of sense of bounce back, I guess.
Right. Well, one of the things is that it's a little more involved than it is in a game. It isn't just grab the health pack and you're good to go. Sometimes it takes a little time, and sometimes, you might need to do a few things. You might need to rest and hydrate and change your nutrition. And then, maybe once you start coming back from, let's say that's what you do with the flu, um, maybe after a few days, you're ready to start exercising again, but you don't want to go straight to the gym and lift heavy. What you're going to do on those first few days back into exercise is take a walk and, maybe push yourself to walk a little faster for parts of it. So yeah, so there's more of a process to it. And, you have to take that time to be patient with yourself.
Gotcha. No, it's so true, and it's one of those things that I think again, it's built into games, maybe just a different way. I think for people to relate, and one of my favorite examples of playing like one of these massive multiplayer games, whether it's World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, these kind of ones, and people always ask like is there a tutorial? Right. And so and it's funny because some of these same people are the ones that like pay the extra money to like jump to the end, like be like, oh, I'm just gonna pay the extra $15 and instead of starting at level one, I'm gonna at least be like, level 70 or 80, whatever the max happens to be at the time. And then they look around and be like, so where's the tutorial? It's like, well, the tutorial was level 1 through 80. Like 1 through 79 was your tutorial to learn the game that you just paid to skip. It's like, come on, like
Right.
you can pay to skip, but like there's so much value in learning along the way, and so I think that's inherently built into games to say like you can learn over time, you can grow. It just and you're not expected to beat the final boss on day one. You're not expected to beat the whole game on the first level, right?
Right. Yeah. And in business, you can kind of see the payoff as you go along in a similar way to what you do in games, right? The first time you decide to send out a newsletter, it may very well take all day. And that's partly because you have to set things up, but it's also partly because it's just new and you're making decisions, you're trying to find out where's the button that does X. Oh, I have to hit publish. Gotcha. The first time you do the whole thing and then don't hit publish and then nothing happens, it feels like a disaster, right? But by the time you're on your fourth or fifth newsletter, um, it's just inherent. Yes, okay, I know I push publish at the end, and you do. And then you go to do some complex funnel and you're looking, where's the publish button? Because there needs to be something like that. So
Yeah,
those
exactly right.
lessons build up in the real world.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. And I think one of the key points for that for games is that like what you said, it's like you have these you have buttons, you have like the games usually give you space to learn whatever the skill or the thing that you're trying to do where so it's a little bit on rails in those regards where it's like or you have the bumpers if you will that says like hey you're going to learn this skill now so we're going to put you in a situation where you have ample amount of time to learn said skill and then as the levels progress you're going to have to use that skill in a much more high intense situation, right? But you've already learned it at that point. But when we get into outside of the game, so life, we don't always have those bumpers, we don't always have those rails to say like what do we do now, right? So
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, there are rails out there, but you have to go looking for them. and you have to decide, okay, which one actually do I want to use? You can't try to use 10 of them all at the same time, despite the cloud of hacks of every kind out there. Um, and you kind of need to pick one or two and stick with them, so that you can kind of develop a flow and a routine for it. And in real life, yeah, it's not you're not forced to say, okay, if you're at level 3, this is the thing. So you have to pick which one, and kind of go step by step, but not everybody's step by step is the same, right? Because life gives us different situations.
Right. Yeah, everybody's journey is a little different, right? So trying to pick,
Mhm.
I guess one of those set of rails, right? You're like, oh, what is my tutorial in life? All right. What is the thing that I'm going to go after? I guess, do you have any recommendations as far as like, do I need to focus, where do I focus first, right? Is it a certain skill set? Is it a certain like, tool? Is it like mindset? Is it a mentor? Like, where do I go?
Right. So, a little bit of several of those things, but the first thing you really need to do is to kind of set a goal of some kind, usually a little bit general, because we have no idea what the world is going to look like 20 years from now. But you might know, okay, I really enjoy AI. I want to be plugged into how that develops. So that's how to set a goal in a way that's not too rigid to be able to adapt over time. And then that goal will tell you things like, what skills to learn. Um, and you do that based on your interests and just an understanding of yourself, your wiring, the situation that you're in. Um, you know, I'm uh, I picked AI to mention because it fits naturally for me. I'm a very mathy, data-y kind of person. And if you ask me to write a dissertation, I would be staring at you like the deer in the headlights, right? I was
Gotcha.
like,
Yep.
oh, that's so find out who you are. And find out, are you a morning person or an evening person? A lot of us have some ideas about some of those basic things and where we fit, but we don't necessarily know how to adjust the rules of thumb that are out there accordingly. Like, you may have heard eat a frog early in the morning, and whatever you think of that, if you decide to do it, if you're a early bird morning person, the timing and type of your frog is going to be a little different from someone who, just couldn't possibly go to bed before midnight.
Yep. I was saying that kind of reminds me of myself. It's like going to bed at midnight. It's like that's too early. That's, oh gosh, too good.
Yeah.
So okay, so I think if I could understand kind of what you're saying is that like having that kind of goal, it's like some kind of area of like focus, right? Like to try to what you're saying, kind of bring the rails in, if you will, to say like, all right, I want to head in this direction. I want to have this focus,
Yes.
this path, and that will help inform I guess you say like additional tools or trainings or
Mhm.
or sub goals, right? To actually be able to achieve that, right?
Yeah.
So is it a problem that people don't have enough of that focus or that big goal, and so they're not being? Is it an issue of like they're being too reactionary to the world?
There is a lot of that. And I think there's a lot of just, there is decision fatigue. There are so many options. And a lot of them are pretty great. And then there's starting off your day or your project or your year in a way that where you kind of fuel yourself up. You wouldn't go, I mean, a game just doesn't let you go in and, start from I'm already beat up. But a
Be an
lot of
interesting game.
us Right, see? But a lot of us go into day after day after day, really just feeling pretty beat up by life and not knowing what is it that you can do that sets your day up to start well, which sets the rest of the day to go a little better. You make better decisions, you make a little more progress, all of the rest, and then tomorrow's going to be better too, and just the idea that we need to do that for ourselves because there isn't a button that says that,
Right, I'm
right?
still looking for it.
I know. Well, as soon as you find it, let me know because I've
Exactly.
got you know, all this research about how to make it work. But if there's a button, I'd like to have that too.
Yeah. Be nice to have the easy button for sure. So,
Hmm.
all right. So I
Yeah.
wanted to talk so coming back to kind of the resilience piece of this again. So like so if I have this direction, if I have this goal, if I have this focus and the resilience, I guess to keep going, right? Because are we talking resilience also in terms of just is it willpower? Is it motivation? Like what yeah, tell me a little bit about like how do we stay consistent, I guess, to continue toward the goal without getting burned out and falling off the path.
Well, part of avoiding burnout is in your thinking about, when you encounter problems, does it really piss you off? Or is it just like, okay, well, here's today's problem. Is your expectation of life that everything's going to be just perfect and, Candyland? Or is it like, okay, yeah, there's problems. And then part of it is what I was referring to about, not starting the game already beat up. If you start your day with decent energy, decent focus, a fairly positive frame of mind, and then you continue through your day feeding into that fuel that you need to keep going well, then when you hit a bump, it's just a bump. It doesn't take your last 10% of reserves. So then, the it's like this pre-resilience thing. Um, of if you're already in good shape, something goes wrong, but you're still mostly in good shape. Just pick up and keep going. And of course, it takes a bit of willpower, but when you have one of those days, hopefully very rarely, but one of those days where just your last leg is just being kicked out from under you, you have to expect it to take some time. And if you have a day like that, 3 days a week, then you're going to be having to fight a lot harder to keep going. And
For sure.
that's where you're leaning too much on willpower.
Gotcha. So I like this idea because it's kind of the difference between like the push pull, right? Like it just, as far as like what how difficult it is trying to drag yourself forward, right? Is not as is much harder than just simply if you're in the flow of things, if you're kind of getting pushed along by kind of the
Yes.
everything that's built you to that point, right? And so you can kind of I call it ride the wave as it were, so it's much easier. And it's interesting you mentioned as far as
Mhm,
like the
exactly.
challenges, right? Because in games, right, we're inherently challenged all the time. Like if it
Yeah.
was just if the game was just you boot it up and it just says you win, it's not a very compelling
Right.
or interesting game, right? It's just like
Nobody's coming back to that one
nobody's coming back to
for
that,
hours on
right?
end.
So okay, so
Yeah.
you need to have inherent like part of makes the game fun is like having these challenges, having these obstacles to overcome, because that gives you like that sense of achievement and progress, and I think gamers we love that. But then when we get out to the rest of the world, suddenly these challenges and obstacles come up, and they're not as fun.
Right. Yeah. They're not, but you can also kind of go into it with a decision of, let me see how I can make this at least a little bit fun, you know.
Yeah,
And some of those skills come from what you see in games. For example, early this year, I really went on a tear to just eat more vegetables, right? Because we should always eat more vegetables. And I thought it would probably be, helpful in more ways for me. But man, it's been years that I've been telling myself eat more vegetables.
Right.
But this year, what was different was I turned it into a little game. And, I found an app that would help me track it. And so I set a goal and said, okay, I'm going to try to eat 30 different vegetables per week. And I'm not going to fuss at myself about, portion sizes. Is it, 1 cup or 2 cups or half a cup? Or no, I'm just going to track how many different types and got an app for that. And then when I was going to the grocery store, it was like, I know I ate this once before and liked it, but I don't really cook with it very often. I wonder what I could do with it. And now it's not, oh, I have to.
Hmm.
It's it's more of a game. And I even get the payoff, if I came up with this crazy radish salad, which radish salad. But it turns out if you put the right herbs and spices in it, it's quite good.
There you go. Okay.
So yeah. So I got a salad dressing that had cilantro in it, the main herb, and did that instead of making the whole darn dressing from scratch myself. And made this radish salad and it was good. And so it's like, oh, now I have like an extra tool in my pocket for next week because I don't even I don't have to go invent radish salad all over again.
Right.
I can just copy and paste, right?
Yep.
So that's a little like gaming too, once you learn a skill and um once you have it yourself set up, then it's a little bit easier. And so then, maybe another week or two later, I thought, well, all right, maybe I'll invent some new thing that I might enjoy having regularly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's yeah, just to make it a little bit more fun, more interesting, and make it more like a game. It's definitely what we need more of, and that's definitely what I try to help share with people too. If you make it fun and interesting, it'll drive you forward because like okay, now you'll like you said, it's not I have to do anymore. It's like oh, I get to do this, right? It's now fun to actually do that, and that'll help
Right.
push you forward. So, absolutely love that with the yeah, especially that motivation piece, right? Because I agree. The willpower, I think the studies have shown too. Like just if you just work on willpower alone, like I will get this done no matter what. It's like, yeah, you can have bursts of willpower, you can have bursts of energy through that, but it's not sustainable, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's where you get to having habits that will support you. It just uses so much less energy. Um,
I love that.
and
So
yeah,
making it more interesting, making it more compelling, making it more like a game, so you can actually get things
yes.
done. That's what I love. That's what I'm here for too. So just trying to like gamify certain elements and gamify and partially gamify my life too, just to make things way more fun and interesting. Uh, just to
Yes.
get things done. Because the amount of time I think that people see work and they just like, well, I this is going to be hard. This is going to be terrible. I don't want to deal with
That's
this,
so
right?
right.
And it's just as simple as like a reframe in your mind, right? It's like it's so hard to like when as part of like personal development because I think you've been a part of that world, right, too, as far as understanding personal development. And there's certain words that we use, there's certain things that we say in the personal development world that don't always translate easily outside of that. When we say like, oh, it's just a reframe, it's like, well, what does that mean? So I think wanted to get your opinion, like when we say like, oh, just like just it's just a reframe in your mind, and like how we can make it more fun. Like, I guess what's a way to help explain that maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, I think you're right. I've been hearing that word long enough that I don't really know what I used to use before I used that word.
Right?
Uh, but yeah, it's just looking at it from a different point of view and deciding how to think, positively. for example. Um,
Yeah, because
well,
and go ahead.
there's some of it is choosing words that give you that pull instead of push. Um, I'm trying to think of a specific example, and maybe it'll come in a minute, but there's so much vocabulary that has changed. And a lot of that is because it used to be kind of depressing. And people started noticing, you know what, that word just does not make me happy. It makes me dread work, for example.
Mhm.
But what could I do to, what word could I use instead? Maybe it's making progress. You know,
Okay.
that's an example of a reframe of, instead of I have to do this, it's instead you take the approach of, hey, it's going to feel good when I'm making progress on this.
And imagining how you're going to feel after it's done, right?
That too.
That's yeah,
Yes.
that's and I love that. So it's just it so in very simple terms, it's just changing the way you think about it to make it so that it's more positive or it gets you to the outcome that you're looking for, right? Like how do you need to think about it? Maybe that's the question to ask. Like, how do you need to think about this in order to get the result that you want?
Well, yeah, and where do you need to spend most of your thinking time about it? It's fine when something goes wrong to say, that sucks. It's just that are you going to spend the whole next 3 hours going, oh, I can't believe how much that sucks? Or are you going to ask yourself, okay, yeah, that sucks. Well, now what am I going to do?
Right. And now
You
what?
know, it's
That's
it's
because
not
it's the
like,
same,
yeah, it's
right? It's the same thing in the game, right? It's, you lose, game over. Oh, well, like, did you then dwell on your game over for 2 hours? Or did you hit continue and try again, right? Because you thought to yourself,
exactly.
again, in the game, it's so much easier for some reason to say, like, oh, well, I hit continue because I know I can improve. I know I can get better. I know I can beat it.
Yes.
And we just need to pull that same kind of thinking to the rest of our lives to say like, oh no, I got, whatever it is, like a business, professional setback. Maybe you didn't hit like the metrics you were going for. Maybe you got laid off. Maybe it's like you were fired. It's a setback, sure. But let's not dwell on that. Let's say like, okay, well, what kind of opportunities do I get as a result of this? How can I change this to say like in a positive light, where can I go now? Where's my new path?
Right. Right. Exactly. I think another thing about life is that everybody can win the game and beat the boss if they stick to it long enough. But in life, not everybody ends up being a billionaire. And not everybody ends up whatever it is that you're going after. Maybe you're the person who wants to sell 1 million copies of your book, or the person who wants to, um, I don't know, whatever it is. And you may not get all the way there. And there's this feeling of if you don't win, if you don't become number one, if you're not the gold medalist at the Olympics, then the fact that you got silver, in your country isn't enough.
Mm.
And that's just a way that we tend to look at life, and and you know that means instead of just rating ourselves by achievements, that not everybody can have all of them. What we need to do is to look at the goal of life being more like long-term satisfaction, maybe contribution that you're after, maybe like you really enjoy the process of everything that you're learning and how you're growing, all those things that you can have, and you don't have to like kill somebody else, either metaphorically or literally, to have your shot and have your turn. So there is a little bit of a going back to what you were just saying about reframe. There is a little bit of a reframe of how do you define success in life, um, and it isn't always about beating all the bosses. So so then we need to take a minute and step back and say, oh, okay, let
Yep.
me
I love
let me
that.
just adjust my approach just a touch.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love that. And that, I guess that's I can't think of a better way to kind of end the show here as far as like that. That's just such powerful wisdom, Julie-ann. Thank you so much. And so as we wind
Thanks.
down this particular episode, I guess where can people find out more about you and learn what you do as far as and maybe they need help as from a resilience coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my business is named Business Plus Health, and there's businessplushealth.com, and just spelled it all out. And also, I will leave a free gift, and there'll be a link in the show notes. And that is about what I call strategic habit stacking, which is my addition to the concept of, do two things in the same bundle. It's put things together that leverage and add power to one another, and picking the time of day that. So this free gift is a opportunity to customize your own first strategic habit stack that will set you up for 1 or 2 more% success each day. And then that gives you the energy to have an overflow into your next goal for the day.
That's awesome. No, thank you, Julian, and appreciate that. And like, what a wonderful gift for the audience. So for those listening, that was a strategic habit stacking is going to be the gift for you guys. And so check below in the show notes in the description for a link to that for free. Check it out so that you can get just a little bit better every day. Fantastic, Julian. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Daniel. And I've been just loving the episodes I've seen so far and can't wait to see more.
Awesome. Oh, so you might have seen some of my previous episodes then, so you might know what's coming next. So I ask all my guests, what is your favorite video game?
Um, every time you ask me that, I give you a different answer.
What is it today?
Um, I did a lot of thinking preparing for today about different video games and how they align um, between what I do and what you do. And for whatever reason, maybe because it keeps coming back through cycles of popularity, but I kept coming back to Fortnite.
Fortnite. Okay. Very,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a big one for sure.
it's a clear example.
Love that. Well, fantastic. And gosh, thank you so much again, Julianne, for being on. And so guys, definitely check it out. And yeah, so check Julianne out and check out the free gift in the show notes in the description below for strategic habit stacking. Gosh. So again, thank you so much, Julianne. Thank you for being on the podcast. And everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And remember, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.